Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
All right, sorry about that. Good night, everyone. Welcome to English for Everyone. Welcome to Teacher Lauren's class. I hope you are learning something. I hope that you are participating, and I hope that you will become a better writer and a better speaker. Now, as I've been saying before, that English, you don't have to get it right all the time. It's not about grammar, it's not about spelling, it's not about the vocabulary, it's about your ability to express yourself. And that will take time. It will take time to master vocabulary, it will take time to master spelling, it will take time to master writing, because writing is not an easy feat. It is not an easy feat if you don't know some of the concept or things that you should include in writing. So this class is about writing. Remember, I told you that writing is divided, sorry, English language is divided into four, you could say four strands. You have the grammar part, which has to do with the part of speech, punctuation, capitalization, and the articles, definite and indefinite article. Then you have spelling, vocabulary, reading comprehension, and creative writing. And that's really all that English involves. Now on Monday we did grammar, we looked at verbs. And on a Wednesday we're going to be looking at creative writing. Because the ultimate goal of learning grammar, spelling, and vocabulary and comprehension is to be able to express yourself. And as I said, when we are speaking, we have the luxury of moving our hands, using our facial expressions. But when you're writing, you don't have that luxury, so you have to be able to paint the picture so that somebody, the reader, not just somebody, the reader can enjoy what you write and it can interest them. So tonight we are going to look back at what we have been doing from last Wednesday. We have been looking at sentences, and so we're going to revise, and then we are going to go into a new area. Let's look at the board. Ways to improve simple sentences. What is a sentence? What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that make sense. But remember, last week I said a sentence can be one word, like stop, run, because as long as there's a verb and a subject, you have a sentence there. So if I say stop, it is a sentence with an exclamation mark because it is not written, but it is implied that it means you stop, you run. That's what it is saying. You stop, you run. So a sentence can be one word. If I say, what's action verb? Now we went on a little further and we say that, said that every sentence must, or every sentence has a subject and a predicate. Two main parts. The subject is who the sentence is about, and the predicate or the verb tells you what action that person, which is most time the subject is going to be either a pronoun or a noun. So what he or she does. So those are the two main parts of a sentence. The next one we discussed, a sentence must end with either a full stop, these are end marks, a full stop, an exclamation mark or a question mark. So 3 end marks you have: the full stop, the question mark, or the exclamation mark. So every sentence that you write must have one of these: the full stop, the question, or the exclamation. And as I said, a sentence can be short or it can be long. But you must have a subject and you must have a verb. If you don't have a verb, then it's not a sentence, it's a fragment. If I say to someone in the box, by the trailer, inside, you don't know what I'm talking about. So it's not a sentence, so it must make sense. But if I say to someone with exclamation, with an expression, run, jump, watch out, those are sentences, because even though they don't have the subject there, it is implied that it is you. So the sentence, we went on further last week and we spoke about we identified the subject, and that has to be either a pronoun or a noun. The subject, the predicate has the verb. So it can be just one and that's the verb, and it's still called a predicate, or it can have more than one. So last week we looked at simple subject and complete subject, simple predicate and complete predicate. Let's go on the board. All right. And we're going to look at a sentence. All right. We're going to look at a sentence. All right. Let's look at this sentence. The tall boy with the red hat ran home. Now, what's the subject of that sentence? The main subject. The main subject would be boy. So we call that the simple subject. Simple subject, boy. What's the simple predicate or the main verb? The main subject or the main verb? Simple predicate or verb, and that will be ran. So the main subject of that sentence is boy, and the main verb is ran. Now so we call these simple subject and simple predicate. Now, a complete, all of this, the tall boy with the red hat, all of this, you would call the complete subject. The main one plus everything, complete subject, and all of this you would call the complete predicate. So we have simple predicate, Simple subject, simple predicate, complete subject, and complete predicate. All right, so you have to be able to identify them, and you should be able to identify the subject and the predicate of a sentence. And I'm going to give us few sentences now. All right. Harry, one, Harry hit the ball across the fence. What's the subject of that sentence? Harry. This is the subject. And the predicate is all of this. I'm putting a double line under the predicate. This is a complete predicate. But this is just the main subject. So you don't have a complete subject there. You only have a main subject and a complete predicate. All right, suppose I want to expand that now. Harry and John and Harry and his brother hit the ball across the fence. Harry and his brother. So we have a complete subject there because you have the hand and his brother. So it's more than just the main subject. So this is what you call a complete subject. So we have a complete subject and a complete predicate. All right, so we went on last week and we looked at let me see what we did last week. All right, so we looked at subject and predicate, and we also went on to see how we can improve simple sentences. We looked at that. All right, so we looked at how we can improve simple sentences. Now, we said that most sub sentences follow a particular pattern. Most sentences we have John likes to play in the yard. John likes to play in the yard. Subject, verb, object. So we say many of the sentences that we see in books or the sentences that we write, they are subject, verb, and object. He wants to buy a bicycle. E, subject, by, verb, and bicycle, object. Now, most of the sentences that we write, again, or you write, or we see in book, they follow that pattern. Subject, verb, and object. Now, if we continue to read stories or information, any kind of expository writing, and we continue to see these sentences, after a while, they become monotonous, they become boring, and they, on our writing, become flat. So we want to spice up our writing. We want somebody to read it. And when we read it ourselves, we want it to be interesting. So we can do so many things. We can do many, many things to improve simple sentences. Simple sentences just convey one idea. A simple sentence is a sentence that conveys one idea. And it's all about the same thing. Even if you have three persons in it or three actions, it's just one. They're doing the same thing. Or they're doing similar things. Alright. Now, last week we said that we wanted to improve our sentences. And some ways we were able to improve, we had adverb of manner, adverb of time, adverb of place or places. We did adverbs. We did prepositional phrases. We could add prepositional phrases. We also added past participles, words ending with ing and ed, action verbs. So we try to make our simple sentences sound better. We're going to do some of that right now. Just a minute. Alright, so we're going to write some of them. We're going to go back. And I want you to be writing as well. We're going to see how we can best improve simple sentences. All right, let me just write some and we see what we can do with it. They played a game. You think of how we could. Two. This is 1, 2. The dog dashed across the street. And you notice that all of them, the subject, then you have the verb, then you have the object. How can we improve that one? Maria laughs and Maria laughs and talks in the class. All right. How could we improve those three sentences? How could we improve them? How could we, instead of having the subject, the verb, and the object, how could we improve those sentences? They played played a game. They played a game. How could we? What could we do? Remember, we said we could put adverb of place, adverb of time, adverb of manner. We could do all of that. All right. So we could start with an adverb. Adverb of time. So we could say it. Last night, an adverb of time when it happened. Last night, this morning, yesterday, at school. No, sorry, at school is place. This morning, last night, during the day, this afternoon, last week. Those are adverbs of time. So we could put a phrase, an adverb of time phrase before it. So we could say, last night, adverb of time is a phrase. Last night, and you put your comma. They, so you no longer have the capital. They played a game. So you find that we are not writing with the subject, object, the subject, verb, object. Last night we're starting with an adverbial phrase of time. What could we do for dog? The dog dashed across the street. We could use an adverb of manner. Suddenly, quickly, those words that ends with ly. Immediately, so we could say suddenly. And again, when you start doing sentences with adverb of time, adverb of manner, adverb of place, you put a comma after the phrase. Suddenly, the dog dashed across the street. Full stop. Maria laughs and talks in the class. What could we use for that one? What could we use for that? We have done adverb of place, no, adverb of manner, adverb of time. Maria laughs and talks in the class. What could we use for that? Could we put an adverb of place? We have place there already. Maria cannot be yesterday, so it would be, you could put, let us see if we don't want to put back any adverb of time, adverb of manner. We could put sometimes Maria laughs and talk in class. We could put that one, sometimes Maria laughs and talk in class. That could go. We could also have Maria laughs and every day. Maria laughs and talk in class every day, and that is an adverb too. Every day, Maria laughs and talks in the class. Or can we find that anything else we could use to change up that instead of using Maria, instead of using the subject? So we say sometimes, we say every day. Adverb. What about a prepositional phrase? Could we use a prepositional phrase there? Before, or see if I can find another one. Before, after, many times. Every day, Maria laughs and talks in class. Sometimes Maria laughs and talks in class. Okay, with her friends, Maria laughs and talks with class. That's a prepositional phrase. With friends, Maria laughs and talks in the class. With friends, Maria laughs and talks in class. So you're trying to use something else apart from the pattern, subject, verb, object. All right? So you think about them. Now, we can use other means like past participle, ing, or ed, and prepositional phrases. All right, I think I wrote some here. All right. Ing verbs. The children laugh loudly. The children laugh. The children laughed loudly. Laughed means past and gone. How could I improve that? By changing it to something else. I'm going to use a verb, an action verb. Running to the park, the children laughed loudly. Listen to this one. Tom forgot the time. Tom forgot the time. How could we improve that sentence? Playing with the dog, comma. Remember, when we're using these phrases, adverbial phrases, we should put comma. Tom forgot the time. Susan stayed quiet for an hour. Susan stayed quiet for an hour. How could we improve that one with the ing verb? Reading our book, comma. The boys got wet. How could we improve one with ing verb? The boys got wet. How could I improve that with ing verb? I'm here, jumping over the puddles, the boys got wet. Ed now, ed verbs. This can help us to change the pattern. Ed word can help us to change the pattern. All right. Let me write this one on the board. Let me write this one on the board. All right. Ed. Okay. Mary called her friends. Mary called her friends. I want to put something, I want to put a ing phrase before. So I could put excited by the news. Mary called her friends. So I changed the structure of the sentence by adding an ing phrase to the sentence. Next one. She smiled happily. She smiled happily. How could I change that? How could I improve that with an ed verb? A verb with ed. We could surprise. So we would, notice that this is a capital letter. Now I'm going to change it to a lowercase or small letter. Surprised by the gift comma, she smiled happily. So we can add phrases to the beginning of sentences to change the pattern, to change the structure from subject, verb, object. And when we do that, we get beautiful sentences. And there, if we can write with some with adverb of time, adverb of places, adverb of manner, prepositional phrases, ing beginning, ed beginning. You see right there, 5 different type of sentence would have in our paragraph. And so, it would make it more interesting for readers. So we looked at all of that last week. So we're going to introduce just a little now of what we're going to be doing today. Now, your job, if you want to improve, is to practice. Tell yourself that you're going to write 5 sentences each day, because the more you're able to write sentences, better sentences, the better you'll be able to express yourself, the different types of sentences. And so we're going to be spending probably another 2-3 weeks on just sentences, because we're going to lay the foundation for your writing, so that when you're writing and you look back on your paragraph, you can say, well, I have 10 sentences in this paragraph, for example. I have 1 that begin with a prepositional phrase. I have 2 that have the pattern subject, verb, object. I have another 1 that begin with ed, beginning. And then I have another 1 that begins with probably an adjective. I have another 1 that begins with a pronoun. So we can look at them and say, I've written 10 sentences, and they're all adding to the paragraph. All right? They're all adding to the paragraph. So that would give you a paragraph more, would appeal to your readers. All right. We are still on sentences. Okay. We are still on sentences. We're going to be improving again. Now, ways to improve simple sentences. Ways to improve simple sentences. So those basically what I've done Those are revision. Revision. And I'm going to introduce something new today, this evening, tonight. So we say we can add to the beginning of sentences to improve. Ways to improve simple sentences. Simple sentences. All right. All right. Now remember, we're talking about the subject. Look at this sentence. Sam likes to read. Sam likes to read. Now, I could have more than one subject. So tonight we're going to be looking at, we can use more than one subject. We can use one subject. We can use two subjects. We can use three subjects. We can use one verb, two verbs, three verbs. Okay. So, Sam likes to read. That is one subject here. Likes to read, color, and draw. So this sentence has three action verbs. Sam likes to read, color, and draw. So when you add more subjects and more action verb to the sentences, you can get a better sentence, a better appreciation, or better reading, or better interest. Or the sentence will make more sense to you and you will want to read. All right, so we're going to start off with one subject, two verbs. Okay. All right, let's start. One pattern here. Mary, okay, let's do two. Mary and John like to swim. You have two subjects here. Mary and John likes to swim. I can have two. Mary and John like to swim and dive. Mary and John like to swim and dive. So, two subjects, two verbs. This one, so we can have one subject, two verbs, two subjects, two verbs, three subjects, three verbs. Right. Give another one. And then we're going to go to the three. All right. The students the students and teachers clapped and waved at the clown. And many people hear about simple sentences and they think because it's simply too short. No, you can have a long simple sentence. Because I could say the enthusiastic students and teachers clap and wave at the what kind of clown? The funny clown, the hilarious clown. So a simple sentence don't necessarily have to be a short sentence. It can be a long sentence with descriptions and it can be with information, added details. So simple sentence don't mean a short sentence. So we're looking at how to improve your sentences. One way to improve your sentence is to add more subjects and more verbs. And instead of having short sentence, Mary likes to jog and she likes to laugh. We just put them together. So we are combining subjects and verbs. When you combine subjects and verbs, you get a better read. All right, so we're going to go look at this one now. And we're going to combine, we're going to have, I'm going to put 3 subjects. And as I told you before, I told you some time ago that verbs, action verbs, are good for writing. If you want to improve your writing, make sure you pack it with action verbs. So when we're writing, we don't have to say Carmen or the children. We can put all of them and just cluster them together. Put them together so we can have 3 subjects and 3 verbs. All right. Let me write this one. The boy and then you have to put your comma, his sister the boy, his sister and his friend. The boy, his sister and his friend ran, jumped, and kicked the ball across the field. So another way to improve your sentences is to add more subjects and more verbs. Another one. Another one. The dog the cat. Remember to put in your commas. commas, and the parrot, and the parrot, and the parrot chased barked, and squawked in the backyard. All right. So the dog, the cat, and the parrot chased, barked, and squawked in the backyard. So 3 subjects and 3 verbs. So these have variety of sense. And then we write, I'm going to do another, and then we do another 2, and then you can practice some on your own. Let me write another 2 on the board. So we are working with improving our sentence structure. Last week we improved by adding adverbial phrases to the beginning of sentences. Prepositional phrases, ed and ing beginnings, we add them to the beginning of our sentences to improve them so that we didn't have to write the subject, verb, object. Today we are writing the subject, object, and the verb, but we are expanding. So we still, for this one, we are using the subject, verb, object method, but we're adding more information to give a variety, a wide variety of sentences that you will need to use when you are writing. All right? So let me write another 2. So we have 3 subjects and 3 verbs. And they can make long sentences, longer sentences. You can always add on adjectives, adverbs, to even extend them some more. So if you're talking about like the students, you can say the enthusiastic students do this, do that, and so forth. All right? Look at this one. All right. My brother comma, remember to put in your commas. My brother, my sister, comma, and I cooked. My brother cooked, stirred, and tasted, the delicious cake together. So, my brother, my sister, and I cooked, stirred, and tasted the delicious cake together. So we are expanding our sentences, creating a variety, different types of sentences, so that when we write, our writing will not be boring, monotonous. It will be delightful. It will be a pleasure for others to read. And so we have been looking at adding more subjects, adding more verbs to our sentences. And these are still simple sentences because they're saying, talking about three persons are involved in the same activity. So even though there are three persons, they are still called simple sentences. So a simple sentence don't just have to be one short sentence. It can be long, it can have the subject, can have more than, it can have one subject, one verb. It can have two subjects, two verbs. It can have two subjects, one verb. It can have three subjects, one verb. It can have three subjects, two verbs. It can have three subjects, three verbs. So you notice that if you write a variety of them, you will have a whole book of simple sentences. And when you color them up, meaning that instead of saying just the student, you say the enthusiastic student, instead of say, you could say the vibrant, you could say, you could use many descriptive words and lengthen your sentences. So simple sentences can be very long sentences because they convey one idea. Simple sentences convey one idea. The students or the principal or the parents, they are involved in one activity together. So it's still one idea. All right. All right, next one. This one now. The children remember to put in the commas. Their cousins. The children, their cousins, and their cousin and their neighbors, remember I use the British English, so you notice that I use the you. The children, their cousins, and their neighbors, children, their cousins, and neighbors climbed swung, climbed, swung, and slid on the playground. The happy, you could add on more, the happy children, their cousin, and their neighbors climbed song on the what kind of place? On the large playground, or you could extend that even a little more. So let's go it again. We are looking at sentences. Sentences are the foundation of writing. First, you have to improve on your grammar, the vocabulary. When you know the parts of speech, like the verbs, the nouns, and the adjective, it will help you to write better sentences. So I'm going through the parts of speech. I just reached verb. We are on verbs now. And as we go along, you will learn more about verbs. So on the Monday, I'm on grammar. And on Wednesday, I'm on sentences, I'm on writing, I'm on sentence constructions. Now, I'm saying that sentences are the foundation of writing. If you're able to write better sentences, then your writing will be more interesting for others to read. It will become clearer for them to read. and they will get the message that you want to convey. So we are on sentences, and we look at the different parts of the sentence, different parts of each sentence. We have looked at that, and we are saying that last week we had some short sentences, and we say that we could add to the beginning of these sentences to expand them and to change the pattern. Because as I said before, most sentences start with the subject, then in the middle you have the verb, and then you have the object. That's how English is written in most cases. But they don't have, all your sentences do not have to be like that. So last week we started looking at how we can improve the beginning of your sentence, improve the sentences rather, by adding phrases to the beginning. And we added adverbial phrases of time, of place, of manner. Manner has to do with the ly ones. This week we have revised that. In addition, we have looked at sentences. These have the same pattern: subject, verbs in them, and objects. But we have done something different. We're saying, instead of talking about one person, or saying the children, the boy, we can expand, make the sentence with more information. So we say Sam, Harry, Milton, and Milton, Sam, comma, Harry, and Milton, comma, for the and there. And Milton jumped, kicked, and landed. So when we have these action and landed on the ground, three persons doing it, it's better than to say the children were playing on the play field, or the children were romping in the yard. If I say the children are romping in the yard, you say, oh, then. But if I say they were doing somersaulting, they were flipping, jumping on the bench, flipping over, and give them action. Sam and Mark and Tom, they were flipping, jumping, and somersaulting on the bench or on the benches. You get a better picture. So all I'm saying is that when we write, we have to write so you can paint a vivid picture. So the person will get it. It's not just ramping or just playing. They are doing some action. So practice, your homework is to practice to write better sentences using more subjects and more action words. And more action words. Let me read a few more before I go. All right. Now listen to this one. The firefighters, the police, and that's it, put your comma, and the volunteers rushed, lifted, and carried people to safety. If I just said that the workers or if I said the workers or the caretakers or the essential workers or took the people to safety, I wouldn't be giving enough information and they would be flat. But when I say they rushed, they lifted and carried the people to safety, I'm actually showing you action. And so you can figure it out, you can picture it. 2, the players, the coach, and the referee ran, kicked, and cheered during the exciting soccer match. You getting the picture? 3, the pirates The sailors and the captain climbed, sailed, and shouted across the stormy ship. The children, their dogs, and their cats chased, tumbled, and rolled on the grassy hill. 5. The astronauts, the engineers, and the scientists launched, monitored, and repaired the rocket in space. So they are doing the action. You're getting the picture? The knights, the dragons, and the villagers fought, dodged, and raced through the castle courtyard. So you're getting a picture of the action. So when you write in your stories, you can always put that. Okay? So your homework again is to practice to write better sentences by using more subjects and more action verbs. I hope this lesson makes sense to you and that you will continue to read, and that if you want to become a writer, you have to write every day. I write every day. If you want to become a writer, you have to write every day. It doesn't matter for how long. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 5 minutes. And if you want to be a writer, make sure you keep a diary. When you hear a new word, use it in sentence, use it in a sentence. For example, we are doing this now, you make sure you have a book that you make your sentences. How can I improve my sentences? How can I? Ways to improve simple sentences. And so next week, we're going to still be on sentences. How we have been just talking about one idea. One idea. So all of these are simple sentences. But we have compound sentences, which will be expressing 2 ideas or more. Compound don't necessarily mean 2 sentences. And then you have complex sentences, and then you have compound complex sentences. Then you have different types of sentences. So we'll be spending a little while on sentences. So make sure you write every day. Write 2 sentences, 3 sentences. You don't have to write a lot of sentences, but make sure you have a book that marks English for everyone. Put your topic and put what you're learning. And as we go through, we are going to be building. So when it's time for us to write our stories, and we're imagining, we won't have to be feeling for sentences or feeling for words. We'll be just writing. I know you want to become a better writer. It is possible. Writing, it's when you copy someone's writing or, read somebody else's work, it's not fulfilling as if when you write something for yourself. And you write it tonight and tomorrow you look back on it and you go through a writing process. And when you finish, it's a rewarding experience. So I continue to encourage you to write every day. And again, I remind you about this book. If you could get a copy, the Right Workbook, Building Creativity and Imagination. It is on Amazon. Remember to get your copy. It will help you with the foundation in writing. It has to do with sentence constructions, paragraph. It tells you about descriptive writing. Inside there, it tells you about descriptive writing. Tell you about dialogue, how to write dialogue, flashback, foreshadowing. It uses many narrative techniques, short stories, dialogue tags, creating setting, writing settings, looking at building characters, how we create characters, how we create plots, writing outlines, paragraph, learning about the difference between a narrative and short story. Inside this book, we talk about expository writing, how to write persuasive pieces, letter writing, poetry, and it's a myriad of activities in this book. The Right Workbook, Building Creativity and Imagination. It is in the description. Make sure you get your copy. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to invite your friends. If you're not a native speaker of English, it will help you. This class will help you. If you need to improve, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. When you are able to master the language, it makes you, it helps you to develop confidence in yourself and in your ability to write. This class is about you. Thank you for being on this platform. I'll see you on Monday.